Good evening, students. Here, this is the fourth session of your class, chapter number 1, Structure and the Union. The concept is that file. What is a file? A file is a collection of the information. The particular definition is a file is a collection of data stored on secondary storage devices like hard disk, floppy disk, CDs, DVDs, etc. File operation is to combine all the input data into the file and then to operate through an C programming. Here some of the various operations are to be performed on the file like an insertion, deletion, opening and closing the files. These are all some of the various operations performed on the file. There are the large number of the functions to handle the file in input and also output in the C languages. The high-level file input-output functions can be categorized as text file and also binary file. Then, what is a text file? A text file, it is a file that stores the information in ASCII characters. So ASCII, which means that American Standard Code for the information and interchange. So some of the characters which are represented in the ASCII format. In text file, the each line of text which is terminated with a special character. That character we can call it as an end of the line character. We can also call it as an delimiter character. This delimiter character which is denoted by the symbol semicolon. When this end of the line character is read or written, certain internal transactions takes place. Certain internal translations are takes place so that we can converting the high level to an machine level languages. In the binary file, it is a file that contains the information in the same format as it is held in the memory, like an zeros and ones. Binary, which is indicated as an two numbers, that is an 0 and also 1. In binary files, no delimiters are used for the end of the line and also the no translations are occurred here. These are all the definitions of the text file and also binary file. The next concept is the basics of file handling in the C programming. In the C programming, there are the different operations that can be performed on the file, which are creation of a new file, which is done by using the function fopen with the attributes as an small letter e and a plus or w or w plus plus. The second operation is opening an existing file by using the function fopen. Third operation is the reading from the file, which is done by using the function fscan or fgetc. The next operation is writing to a file, which is done by using the function fprintf or fputs. The next operation is moving to a specific location in a file by using the function fseek and also rewind function. The last operation is closing a file, which is done by using the function fclose. So these are all the some of the functions in the file operation. The first function is fopen. This function which is used to open a file. The declaration is that file star fopen functions within the bracket constant character space the star file name comma constant character star mode. This functions which is used to opening a file. The second file operation is an fclose. This function is used to close a file. So here is also some of the declaration and description of this function. The third file operation is an fgets. This function is used to read a file. The last function is an fprintf. This function is used for to writing a writing into a file. So these are all the sum of the declaration and also the descriptions of the file operations by using the sum of the specific functions. Then let me know about the input and output operations on the file. The IO operations. The file IO operations are categorized into following types: character IO, integer IO, string IO, formatted IO, block read and also write. The first is the character IO operations. The character IO operations, which is occurred by using the functions fputc and also fgetc. Fputc, this is a function is used to write at the current file position and then increments the file pointer. On the success, it returns an integer represents the character written, and on error, it returns the end of the file. Here is a declaration: int fputc opening bracket int c comma file star fp. It's a pointer, then closing the bracket. The second function is an fgetc. This function is used for reading a character from the file and increment the file pointer position. On success, it returns an integer representing the character written. On error, it returns the end of the file. So this is a declaration of the function. The next is an integer input and also output functions. The put w and also get w, these are all the functions of an integer input and also output functions. Put w function, this function writes an integer value to the file pointed by the file pointer. It returns the integer written to a file on success and the end of the file when error occurs. So this is a declaration of an put w function. Then the get w function. Get w function, it returns an integer value from file associated with the file pointer. It returns the next integer from the input file on success and the end of the file on error. Here is a declaration part of the get w function. The next concept is on string IO. FputS and also fgetS, these two are the functions of an string input and output operations. FputS, this is a function, writes the null terminated string pointed to by the str2f file. This null character that marks the end of the string is not written to the file. On the successful, it returns the last character written and the end of the file. On error, this is a declaration of the put s. The next is fgetS. This function is used to read the character from the file, and these characters are stored in the string pointed by s. It reads the n-1 character from the file, where the n is the second argument. Fp, it is a file pointer which points to a file from which character is read. This function returns the string pointed by the s on the successful and null on an end of the file. So this is a fgetS function. Here is a declaration part. The next is an formatted IO, input and output. It has also two functions like an fprintf and also fscanf, same as like the printf and scanf are operated on C programming. This function is same as printf function, but it writes and formatted data into the file instead of that standard output function. This function has the same parameter as a printf, but it has the one additional parameter which is pointer of a file type. It returns the number of the characters output to a file on the successful and the end of the file on error. Here is a declaration part. The fprintf, it contains the file space, the file pointer and constant, the character. So format of a number of arguments, that is ends with a parenthesis close and semicolon. The next function is fscanf. So this function is same as like an scanf functions, but it reads the data from the file instead of the standard output devices. This function is also has a parameter which is a pointer of a file type. It returns the number of the arguments that were assigned some of the values on this axis, otherwise the end of the file on error. So this is a declaration of the scanf function. The last operation is on a block read or write. It has also the two functions f write and also f read. So f, that is a file write function. This function is used to write and the entire block to the file. So here is a declaration part. There are the declaration section size underscore t space the f write opening bracket const void then the pointer p comma size of t the size of t of n comma file, that's a pointer, file pointer, then ends with a semicolon. Here the size of t, it is defined into the stdio.h as an type def unsigned int size underscore t, where the p is a pointer which points to the block of the memory that contains onto an information to be written to other file. Then the second is a size, so it denotes the length of an each item. So n is the number of the items which is present on the file, then f is a file pointer. The next function is the f read. This function is used to read an entire block from a given file. So here is a declaration section size underscore t f read opening bracket void pointer p comma size t space size comma size t space n comma file space the file pointer, then the parenthesis close semicolon. Here also the p is a pointer which points to the block of the memory which receives the data and read from the file, where the size is a length of an each item, then n is a number of the item, then fp is a file pointer. On the successful of this function, it reads an n item from the file and returns the n, otherwise the error has to be occurred. Then the last concept is an error handling functions in the files. So here the number of the functions are there: int bad, int evof, int fail, int good, and also clear. Int bad function, it returns a non-zero value if and the invalid operations is attempted, error has to be occurred, so that if it is a zero value, it may be possible to recover from the any other error reported and the continue the operations. The second function is EOF, that is the end of the file. It returns the non-zero, that means a 1, or it is a true value if the end of the file is encountered while reading, otherwise it returns the 0. The next function is a fail. It returns the non-zero value when an input or the output operations has been failed, otherwise it returns 0. Int good, it returns a non-zero value if no error has occurred. This means that all the above functions are false. Then the last function is clear. It resets the error state so that further operations can be attempted. These are all the sum of the functions of an error handling in the files. Then the next concept is random access to file. So random means that is we can choose a file, we can choose an any file on the secondary storage devices. So there is the no need to read each record sequentially. If we want to access a particular data, so we can choose it randomly. So we can call it as an random access to file. So C supports these functions for random access file processing. So here the definition is that the random access to a file. If you want to access in a particular record, so we can access in a file randomly, so that it is called as a random access to file. So this has the sum of the functions like fseek, ftell, rewind. These are all the sum of the functions of an the random access to a file. The first function is fseek. This function is used for seeking the pointer positions in the file at the specified byte. So this is a syntax of the fseek. So fseek file, it contains file pointer, displacement, and also a pointer position. Where the file pointer, it's a pointer which points to the file. Displacement, it's a positive or the negative value. So this number of the bytes which are skipped backward or forward from the current position. So this is a general syntax for any fseek. The fseek function is used for seeking the pointer position in the file at the specified byte. Here the pointer positions which are, this sets the pointer positions in the file. So 0 is indicated as in a beginning of the file, 1 is indicated as in a current position, 2 is indicated as an the end of the file. So for example, the fseek opening bracket p comma 10l comma 0. So 0 means the pointer positions is on the beginning of the file. From the statement pointer position is skipped 10 bytes from the beginning of the file. This is one general example. The second function is ftell. This function returns the value of the current pointer positions in the file. So this value is count from the beginning of the file. Here is a syntax ftell bracket within the bracket fptr. The fptr is a file pointer. The last function is an rewind. This function is used to move the file pointer to the beginning of the given file. The general syntax is that rewind fptr, where the fptr, this is an file pointer. So this is about the sum of the random access to an file. So it has an 3 functions. So this is the end of the session 4. Thank you.